Hi, small group leaders. We're back, week 3 of Fruit of the Vine series, and we're really excited. I hope I've carried across to you some of the excitement that I have for this series. I really know that listening in on Sundays is crucial, but taking this deep on Wednesdays or Thursdays or whenever you meet is equally, if not more important, because this is where revelation turns into practical application. Not only that, sometimes revelation goes from shallow to deep, and I'm trusting that that is what's going to happen this week. Also, I want to encourage you. Acts chapter 2 teaches us what small groups are meant to be like. Getting together in each other's homes, meeting around the scriptures with glad and sincere hearts. And that's what we're taught, and that's what I want to encourage you with this week. Are you arriving with glad and sincere hearts? Eating together, or drinking a cup of coffee, or having a biscuit together, but making sure that it's around authenticity. It's around loving each other. It's not a meeting for the sake of a meeting. It's not a meeting because pastors told you it's a good idea. It's a meeting because Christ calls us to gather together to love each other well. So there's a little inspiration for this week. Keep that front and center as you're gathering. Christ calls us to love each other. And on that note, that's what we're looking at this week. The fact that Christ calls us to love each other. In fact, he simply says to love others is to have Jesus as your most vital source of life. That's what the passage in John chapter 15 is talking about, and that's what we heard on Sunday. Loving people is only going to be done well when you're loving Christ really well. That's what it's all about. So here's a tip that I want to encourage you with this week, is to set the tone of love in your group as best you can. It's easier as small group leaders sometimes to just get in a bit of a rut and to, lead and do things as we're meant to do. Why not this week take a moment to assess your own leadership and ask the question, how am I doing in loving these people? Maybe it's through your listenership, maybe it's through your servant-heartedness, maybe it's just through being prepared. Set the tone of love, because that's one way that you're going to show a model of what Christ's love is all about. Back to 1 Corinthians chapter 13, because that's where we're diving in this week. We are wanting to explore what is love. What is love all about? And there's no passage quite like this to explore what love really is about. Now I want to hone in on 2 questions in the group guide that I think are really important, that are going to bring some of the conversation that you have to life. I want to read question 6 to us. Question 6 says this: think about the life of Jesus based on this passage, which is 1 Corinthians 13. Reflect on how he perfectly fits the description of love. Reread 1 Corinthians 13, 4-13 again, and think about how each description, as firstly, what Jesus models to us and lived for us, and secondly, what he calls us to model. What description stands out to you in terms of your experience of Jesus in your life? We're really hoping that this discussion sparks an explanation in people around how they've experienced the love of Jesus in their life as seen in this passage. The other question that I think is going to be really important is question 9. What is one take-home or actionable that you have for stepping up in your area of loving others? Hey, simple question, but can be really practical and helpful. Asking the group simply, how do you feel you could be upping your ability to love other people? Listen carefully and watch out for some of those answers that you could challenge people in the following weeks to come. What I want to encourage you with is that you're finding application this week. It's really easy to talk about love and to talk about these amazing grand themes, but what does it look like day to day? Ask questions, probe, say, that's a great point. What is that going to look like in your life now that you've mentioned that? Make sure we're getting to the practicalities of this. Hey, at the same time, remember that right belief is what always leads to right behavior, never the other way around. So don't run straight to behavior before we've got the right belief. And the right belief is this, is that we're more sinful than we first thought, and yet we're more loved than we ever dreamed. That's what I'm hoping we get, is that Christ first loved us. which is the motivation and the power that we get to love others. Let's start there. Right belief is what leads to right behavior. Try and encourage your group to get that sense of right belief, and then talk about what are the behavior dynamics that are going to follow. In 1, loving each other as a group. 2, loving other Christ followers. 3, loving all people regardless of who they are, as Christ would love them. So have a great week. Keep up the good work. We really are proud of you. And make sure you're feeling free to give feedback to myself, Roger at commongroundchurch.co.za, or feedback to your community leaders around any of these things that are challenging you in your walk as a small group leader. All the best.